you get embodied and integrated, the more you understand that there is no higher self and lower self. It's just you being the creator with one with everything. But it is a step by step, process to get there. Like you can get it with your mind and head, but once you get it with your whole being, then life just becomes so easy.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast where I interview space holders from all over the world. I am your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. Today on the show we have Mariliis Moelder, the spiritual coach. Welcome to the show, Mariliis. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. How are you?
Oh, yay!
Yeah, it
I'm doing
works.
great, especially that we're trying it for the third time. Hopefully, this time the connection will be great and we have no technical issues. The universe is supporting us to record this really well right now. So, yeah, that's what I'm manifesting anyway. That's what my intention is. And also, another intention of mine is to really touch the hearts of the people who are listening and to really help them go through whatever they need to go through with our energy, with our vibes, and with our advice, whatever they need. So that's my intention for today. And I would love to start with your short or long story, depending on how you want to present it, because I'm super curious about how you started your spiritual journey. When was your awakening? How did you go through it? Was it easy for you? Because I know that you are a support of awakening integration. And so I know that usually when we have something that we do, we have gone through some shit to get to where we are at. And maybe, I assume that you might have needed also the support that you're giving others right now to integrate the awakening experience. So I'm super curious about your journey and how did your awakening start and how did it, develop and how did you
Mhm.
get to be now a spiritual coach? So please share with us.
It's kind of hard to define, to be honest. So I was, it's just been like a lifetime, and then different little attentions and trainings and interests that it just has unfolded all over my the moment I kind of got into my mother's belly, I think, because I do have memories of being in the womb space, and I was always a sensitive child. And you mentioned the shit that excuse me poop that we go through, and there was there's been a little bit of that, parents divorcing and myself traveling and getting married, having kids, getting divorced, traveling, learning, studying, like just living life really. Um, for me also, I think I had quite a so my spiritual journey has been intense but interesting, and I had a Kundalini awakening at quite a young age. I think I was 13 or 14, and it all happened very gently and beautifully. And to be honest, I kind of thought that that was puberty, so I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I only became aware like years and years, like maybe 10 years afterwards, that was the thing that all these tantric practitioners aim for and yearn for, and that for me was just available straight away with like a lot of psychic availability, and being sensitive and being quite interested in soul embodiment and kind of making a better world and being a light in the world, and having experiences like talking with dead people and just a lot of sensitivity. And so it kind of all unfolded over time. And I got married, had kids at a quite a young age, in Australia. We're amazing co-parents. I absolutely love my ex-husband, and he's with a really, really beautiful Estonian girl. Um, so that's all really good, but it was like a big journey for me, this part as well, and I really dove deep into like counseling and therapy myself and learning it, and psychology and psychotherapy, and also yoga and meditation, and I just went full on, and also plant medicines. Like I kind of just played with all kind of different modalities, and my anchor and the one of the real kind of languages that helped me to understand the world was astrology. So from a very early age, from when I was 10, I kind of started looking into astrology, and that helped me understand all these different behaviors and cosmic channels and why people have this kind of shadow and light in them and how that works and yeah, so that was kind of the in a nutshell the journey um yeah, I've had many I'd say I've had many awakenings and that's also what I'm kind of teaching people, that when you start really walking your purpose and really getting on your soul embodiment journey where you allow the light that you really are, to come into you, the unique light that you are. Yes, on some level, we are all the same light, but there is like, it's like a rainbow. It's the uniqueness of you. It's this gift that you are for the world. And when you bring that gift into the world, all your shadows, your traumas, your inner child issues, your mommy issues, your daddy issues, all the emotional stuff that you stuffed underneath the cover starts coming up to be released because there's so much power and energy in you. You are light. It's shining out. So the real um and I mean, I live in Bali, so there's a lot of kind of magic and spiritual highs here, just with the practices and the spirituality that is available here. So the real issue is not getting the high of the enlightenment or feeling universal love or oneness or consciousness. Like there's many ways to do that. Also without drugs, just with faith and prayer and so on. The real issue is then integrating afterwards when you're in this deep oscillation and you can get depressed and you have, really suppressed, sometimes even past life stuff come up that you kind of don't know how to handle and you need support with. So that's where my focus is in this, providing the safe space and helping people navigate and learn how to deal with their issues, how to calm their nervous system, how to soothe themselves through it, how to keep walking, and also understanding that, this thing of my awakening or your awakening or near death experience, and now I'm awakened and senses have opened up and I'm so much more sensitive and aware. That's just the first step. And I did a course last year that was like an amazing course that really mapped it out, with I Conscious, where they also looked at this awakening stage as kind of the middle of the journey, and then how there's so many other issues and steps and things that come up in your emotional body, in your mind body, in your body, your physical body, in your spirit, in your soul, that all needs to be integrated so that you can feel whole and ready. And it's life. It's like really living life from a place of fully living it, not just suffering and dying, kind of. And the suffering and dying
Hmm.
is part of it, It's all good.
Hmm. Wow, that's so beautifully put. And I feel like that's why it's called awakening. It's kind of like you can awaken to
Mm,
fullness of yourself or to parts of yourself that you haven't really discovered yet, but there
yeah,
is more to awaken to. So it's
yeah,
not like, okay, once I'm awakened now, okay, I felt my
yeah,
soul and that's done. It's like,
yeah,
no, there is more to awaken to because
yeah,
there's infinite possibilities and infinite dimensions that you can awaken
yes,
to. So
yes,
you can awaken to maybe your higher self, but then you can awaken to the God's consciousness. You can
yes.
awaken to
It's
other
visible out
realms. You
there.
can just awaken. Yeah,
And
there you can
inside too.
awaken to so many different things, right?
Yes.
And so I feel like integration, as you said, it's so important because if you just experience it, and I've had someone on the podcast talking about having a ayahuasca experience, I think, or mushroom experience, like
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
intense, but then having no tools to
Yep.
integrate it, no, because no one has taught him about yoga or meditation. So
Yes.
then this experience was just something that he has gone through. Like, you go to Turkey for holidays for 1 week and then you just spend time there, you come back and your life is back to normal. It's like
Yes.
you haven't changed really anything. But if you actually take this experience and you then, and that's what I always say after, because I also run ceremonies on medicine. And
Which
I
one?
always say
What do
this,
you work with?
various various.
Ooh,
My favorite,
exciting.
my favorite is the one that I cannot really say, but I've done mushrooms. I've done ceremonies on mushrooms and other things as well. But yeah, I'm I like guiding people on ceremonies. I've been doing it for the last 6 or 7 years now, and for me, always I say to them. look, so you go upstairs, you see what's there, and then maybe you're not going to go fully to the ground, maybe you're going to be one step further, closer to upstairs, right? But you saw already what's there, you saw the perspective, you felt how it feels to be there on this higher realm. So now you can take steps in your everyday life to get there, to integrate, you can say, this experience into your life. And maybe you need to change your diet, maybe you need to exercise more, maybe you need to implement yoga into your schedule, or whatever you need to do to actually bring these higher vibes into your life, maybe journaling, maybe other things, right? To just really embody this perspective that is already within you, because your cells, your mind, your emotional body has already experienced it. So now it's just about how to bring this perspective in. Because, for example, after the medicine, some of them really bring you down. The ones that I use, are usually are just, bombarding us with serotonin, right, in our brain. So then after the experience, you might be like low or whatever. But with me, people never really feel low, because we meditate so much, we integrate so much on the experience, that then you don't really feel like, it's bad that you came back to the normal state. And some people maybe after their first experience feel it like, oh no, the experience is ending, oh no, I'm gonna not feel so good. But it's like, no, now you got the lesson of how you can feel potentially. So what are you going to do in your life to feel like this all the time? Because you can, because your body, your mind, your soul already experienced it. So you can, for example, if you felt so happy, then how can you feel even more happy in your life? Maybe you need to surround yourself with someone else. Maybe you need to change your job because this is not making you happy. Maybe something else, right? So I am just so big on this integration, the awakening integration. And that's why I'm so excited to talk about it, because I feel like so many people uh, are thinking, okay, I'm just going to go do some mushrooms or some ayahuasca and I'm going to be a different person. Yes, you will. But if you're not going to integrate it, it might all fade away like a memory from childhood. It might not really actually, you might not embody it. And so I'm super curious about, first of all, like you said, your Kundalini awakening was at 13 years old. Wow, that's super early. That's freaking amazing. I'm curious, how did you experience it as a 13-year-old? Like, was it a specific situation that it happened, or was it just random, or how did it feel even?
So how I experienced it was I was like a little bit of a rebellious teenager. My parents had divorced and I moved out.
Same here.
Um,
Same here.
and I mean, the relationship was still fine. It's just Estonians don't speak emotion, so I was like a little bit of a cranky teenager because I wasn't sure what was going on. And so I moved out into my own apartment, and I was still very much looked after by my parents, but I had my own space. And this and how I experienced it was just it went over a period of a few months, and I went to bed. I was relaxed. I was just living like a normal teenager. Um, Besides the fact that I wasn't living with my parents, and it was like this golden light started circling in my body, and it felt pleasurable. So it felt orgasmic. And then I was just observing it and like enjoying the experience of it. And I just felt like this golden blessing was just coming inside of my body, and I was just, shaking. But it wasn't like, it wasn't like intense in a way where it would have made me scared. I was just like, oh, this is interesting, like before falling asleep kind of state. And then I, had my waves of pleasure and fell asleep. And then at one point, after it went on for a while, I kind of started thinking like, oh, I wonder if I can direct this energy. And I could. So I moved it into different areas of my body, and that was fun as well. I was like, oh, I can direct, light to my knee and heal my knee, and I can do this and that and make shapes with it. And like it was just very exploratory and very, very pleasurable. Like I just felt like this blessing. Like I just totally felt blessed. And then after like maybe a few months, I kind of started dissolving. Like I just started dissolving into oneness. Like everything became golden. And then at one stage, um, this different dimension got open to me, and I was just in this different temple spaces throughout my, incarnations, like all kind of different cultures. Sometimes I was a man, sometimes I was a woman, sometimes I was speaking with deities. And that time I didn't know anything about, like the Vedic traditions or anything about yoga. I mean, I was, living in post-Soviet Union Estonia, like very, very shortly post-Soviet Union Estonia. So it wasn't any of my consciousness or awareness, but all these, beings started appearing, like all these ascended masters, and I felt these clearings and blessings, and I was in different dimensions, and then I would come back into my body, and I was like, oh, puberty is cool, and I kind of never talked with anything about it or anyone about it. Um, and then I just kept living life, and I just felt like very uh, centered, and I had very good self-worth and self-value, and I was like I didn't get this, how teenagers go like hormonal crazy. I didn't get that because I was just so satisfied in my golden bubble, and I didn't have like physical sex for quite a long time because I was like, oh yeah, there's all these boys running after me because I'm a pretty girl with blonde hair and funny and lovely. And I was like, whatever. And then when I uh, when I
That's quite funny.
when I and my first boyfriend, he was so lovely. He was just we stayed together for like almost 3 years, which is like forever in young years. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm not really that interested in this physical thing. And then he was just really loving and caring and adored me so much. And I was like, oh, this is nice. This is good. And then I just got bored. And we broke up, and I went traveling, and I had all these adventures. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is what sex is. Oh. So it's been a bit of a journey, and there's been all kind of experiences, and as I said, only like a lot later, I kind of came back to this understanding how precious this energy was and how valuable it was, and how people, like, I started learning about that was even after my second child, after I was like 28 or something and had my Saturn return and was going through like divorce and stuff like that. And I got to realize like, oh, this is like all these Taoist practices and breathing practices and energy practices, they want that outcome that is like so available for me already. Like I can just breathe and bliss out into golden light. So I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Um, so when I work with my clients, there is there's just total surrender. I I kind of there is a level of transmission, and there's a level of guidance, but most of all, it's just having a safe space. And I think I had the safe space because I was just living by myself. No one was judging me, and I was just really having these experiences on a very kind of innocent way. Like there was not much um, distortion or like stuff like that in there. And yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. And then I didn't around the same age, like 28. So that was, oh my God, how old am I now? I'm almost 36. So 8 years ago, that was when I first did the plant medicine, the ayahuasca ones, and San Pedro. And San Pedro, for me, my like I had an amazing community, amazing support. We also had psychological support. We had integration psychologists available, very good community, very clean, very dedicated. And I do emphasize that because there is a lot of plant medicines available, and there is practitioners out there who are, not serving highest good and don't have there's be aware. Choose your practitioners in your space wisely. So I was very, very lucky there. And throughout my life, I have been extremely lucky with practitioners. I've had very little unpleasant or experiences where I felt like I've, given away my energy and then my money as well to heal someone instead. But mostly it's been people that just come at the right time, at the right spot, with the right tools, and are just really, really beautiful. So I've been very, very lucky there. And I started experiencing these more intense Kundalini experiences during my ayahuasca sessions. And I was like, ah, yeah, I know this. This feels good. So and I'm really dedicated to like energy clearing and clearing my channel and clearing my just my body channel, my mind, my emotions, so that energy can flow through. I'm mostly just in flow and surrender, and um, I kind of I still have ego, of course, and it's quite a bitchy little naggly ego sometimes, I have to admit. Um, but when I'm like in service or when I just wake up and live my life, I make a prayer. I'm like, may I serve to the highest good of all, and may grace flow through me. May I live my life like a prayer. And I've been living like this for like the last 5 years. And last year for me was very, very challenging. Like I extremely, extremely challenging, extremely, extremely blessed in the way that I really got to deepen my understanding of trauma and mental health and brain health and different relationship types and anxiety and attachments and all this on a very experiential level again. And I've been healing myself from all these initiatory experiences. So I'm just living life, basically.
This is so amazing,
Yeah.
so amazing. I love how you said. The thing that I loved it the most, how you said, is like, and now it's just dissolving into oneness. And I'm thinking, you're talking about it so casually, like, yeah, I was just laying down there, dissolving into oneness. I just was just enlightened at the age of 13. That's
Well,
so funny.
yeah, it is kind of weird and funny, but at the same time, I was still in the body of a 13-year-old. I was going through huge ancestral healing and crisis, and at the same time, I was still managing this quite stressful event of, my family going apart and getting step parents and being, with mom and then with dad and there's a lot of not talking of all these human things. So I wouldn't say that I turned into a ball of light, enlightenment, and saint. I was still, a teenager struggling with
Of
hormones and
course.
and getting
Yeah,
boobs
of
and
course.
hair and menstruation for the first time and so on. So yeah, it's life.
But that's a really, really, really interesting story. It's like I haven't really heard of anyone that had like such an experience at the age of 13. I kind of feel like this age is very, yeah, as you said, specific, right? So there is a lot of things going on, but maybe the universe just wanted to support you throughout this whole journey of, puberty and everything, and divorce as well. Because if you could immerse yourself in the light, that was probably very, very healing. My parents got divorced when I was maybe like 6 years old or 4 years old, something like that. When so I didn't really know how to navigate that, and therefore I was still healing my digestive system maybe like 1 or 2 years ago, because it was the whole abandonment wound just trapped in my body. And so I feel you completely. I feel like it's a beautiful thing to be able to work with energies when you struggle with these kind of experiences, right? Because it's not easy to, as you said, navigate the human world. It's like, so what that you have the spirit world? You need to still live in the human world.
It's all connected. It's like as long as you like the more you get embodied and integrated, the more you understand that there is no higher self and lower self. It's just you being the creator with one with everything. But it is a step by step, process to get there. Like you can get it with your mind and head, but once you get it with your whole being, then life just becomes so easy, like just so chill. And then you're not like, at
Mhm.
least I am not that I'm not a saint. I'm not a guru. And sometimes you forget that maybe you have a day that's bad in traffic or you skipped your lunch or whatever, you didn't sleep well and you totally forget about it all and you're just in your human 3D suffering paradigm and everything feels hopeless and you're hungry and hangry and that's all part of that as well. It's just it's life. It's take it easy. Just relax. Relax and breathe.
Mhm.
That's my mission. That's what I remind myself. Whatever happens, if it's good or bad or anything between, I'm just relax and breathe. Just enjoy.
Mm. That's beautiful.
Mm,
That's a beautiful reminder for everyone, because I feel like I also agree that everything is a part of the soul's experience here on earth. So we
mm,
can say, okay, our mind, our body, our soul, but really everything is stemming from our soul, I believe, anyway. Like we are all in physical body. It's just a projection of our spirit. So we are a part of it and we are one with it. We cannot just separate our
I
mind from
love
our
the
soul or
body.
from our body.
The body is
It's
such a
just
good
like all
portal
the
for
same.
everything. It's not about transcending the body or leaving the body or whatever. You'll die, then you leave the body. Until then, use it as the beautiful vessel and tool that it is. It's like everything is imprinted. It's there for you to enjoy and move around and play and have fun with and take
Mm-hmm.
care and,
Mm-hmm.
healthy food, like you said before.
Yes, exactly. And I just reminded myself of something that I was speaking to on one of the last podcasts. And we were talking about the voice of ego or mind versus voice of intuition or soul, right?
Hmm.
And I was just saying, like, even if you go with your mind, with your ego or fear or whatever you want to call it, it is still your soul's journey to go into quote unquote the wrong direction, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
to learn, okay, I didn't listen to my intuition here, I listened to my fear,
Oh, yes.
for example, but it's still a part of the soul's
Yes.
experience here in the body. So it's not like, okay, if I don't listen to intuition, I'm disconnected from my soul. It's like, no, maybe you needed to go through this experience
Yeah,
for the soul's evolution, for the soul's expansion.
I
So
feel that.
this just, what you said, like we are all one with the soul all the time.
Yeah.
It's not different. It's not
Yeah.
if you go with your fear, because I feel like a lot of people are like, no, I cannot go with fear, I cannot listen to my mind, I have to listen to my intuition. It's like, okay, it's probably beneficial for you to listen to your intuition, but if you don't, that's also fine. Nothing is
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
happen. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
like,
like the worst thing ever, and
yeah.
you are enough still.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's hard sometimes when you have these moments where you ignore your intuition and you go with logic or the logical choice, and then, you know, bad things happen, and then you're afterwards, the regret and the shame and the guilt and the anger, and like emotionally it can be a lot to process, and with your mind it can be a lot to process. You beat yourself up. So like just self-compassion is so important, and ownership, and being okay with it. Like, okay, that was a funky detour, but what what's all the gold nuggets that I got out of it? You know, and so some of these detours are really traumatizing, I have to admit. Like, bad things that do happen, and luckily there is help. There's always help. There's help within, there's help without. You just have to ask. Ask and be humble enough to receive. Asking for help is a huge lesson for humans. Huge.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
receiving it,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
also receiving,
Hmm.
receiving. I think it's a big lesson because I feel like in the society we always feel like we need to give in order to receive, and I feel like it's so like surely it's great to give, but if you feel that you have to in order to receive, that's not
Yeah, that's
a healthy
codependency.
approach, because it's not like, yeah, because it's not like the universe loves me and provides for me because I am and because I'm worthy. It's like, no, I have to give in order to receive. And that's like a trap, because then if you feel any have to, that's resistance. If you feel like you have to do something. And if it just comes from your heart that you want to give, that you are so happy and fulfilled when you're giving, then obviously you're going to even receive even more, but you don't even have to give to receive. I feel like that was something that I had to also integrate within my body, because I felt like because how the way that I was brought up, I always felt like in order to get something I have to give something, right? And then I kind of like, yeah, exactly, and then I copied and pasted this relationship like scheme, let's say, on the universe and me, right? So I cannot receive from the universe unless I give massively, and it's like, okay, I mean, it's good to give, but it's not really the truth, right?
Mm. Yeah, our belief systems and our patterns are so fascinating.
I
It's,
know, they're crazy.
whatever you believe and what's running your subconscious is what you're creating. And you just have to be really
Exactly.
observative and seeing if it works or not. And, if the program that's running is not serving, then we are creators. We can change it, but we can't change what we can't see. So the process of
Mm-hmm.
uncovering it, letting it come up from the subconscious, and admitting and accepting that, oh, this has been, in my family line forever, and it never worked, and we're all miserable. So, okay, but I have the chance to change it now. Like, I don't have to be doing the same thing just because it's been done forever.
Exactly. And I
Like
love what
being
you said.
the
We're
being the
all
trailblazer.
miserable. It's so funny. But sometimes it's actually true, like the whole family is miserable. So one person has to stand up and be like, okay, I'm gonna do it differently and then see what happens, right?
I had a really beautiful experience a couple of days ago speaking with my father, and to be honest, we have we have only reconnected in the last 6 months, and it's been really, really beautiful. So that's been a huge thing in my life. And we were talking, and I've been just very, very honest with him. I've been sharing, 20 years of my life with him in the last 6 months on like intense high speed about, everything. And he's been just very sturdy and strong and holding it. And then after an hour, he's like, okay, let's talk again tomorrow. Like, I need to rest a little bit. So he's got his boundaries down as well. Good on him. But we were talking about ancestral healing, and I said, like, about 10 years ago, when I had my first child, I decided that there's certain patterns in my family lineage and family line that I don't want my kids to go through. Like, I'm going through them, and I don't want them to experience this. I want them to have more freedom, more choice, more joy, and it's not necessary. So I actively started doing all kind of ancestral work, with shamanic drumming, with hypnosis, with meditation, with mindset, like everything, just because I wanted to be like the best mom in the world. And I was talking about that with my dad, and I said, look, I made a very conscious decision that certain patterns end with me here. This is the stop, and they will not go further. And I feel very privileged that I have had a life where I've had the time and resources and helpers and teachers who have come in to help me do this. And it was so beautiful. He had almost like tears in his eyes. He's not a man of many words or emotion words, but he was really touched, and he was like, wow, just showing that you can change things, and you can really, like, really change things in a really impactful way is so powerful. So it's important.
And you
And
can
and
inspire
and I mean,
others to
most
do the
most of us
same.
are very privileged to be able to do that. We're not, you know, well, at least I am. So I'm very grateful for that. That's not showing off. I'm just really grateful to have had the space and support and, material and spiritual and all kind of support to be able to do that,
Oh, yes. I am
and
super
interest.
grateful too. I am super grateful that we know how to heal because not everyone has this privilege to know how to heal. So we can change our lives, we can change each other's lives, we can change other people's lives. And that's what we're also doing by sharing this, beautiful energy on the podcast to help others
Yeah.
heal as well and to help them
and
transform and know how they can change themselves.
and also be okay with, healing not being a linear process, and healing not being a pretty process. Like, I've spent months and years in like deep depression and crying and going through a lot of dirt and feeling all the really dark, deep shadows of humanity, and then coming up again, and then finding the light again. And it's not it's not all that dramatic, but it's been a reality that you kind of have to be willing to go into and be okay with it. And actually,
Hmm.
the one of my favorite thing about shadow work is discovering the golden shadow. Going into the unseen, unknown parts of you and discovering your strengths that you can't even, you know, really allowing yourself to experience your power, and how scary that is, and how much your nervous system reacts to really feeling the energy of the power that you are here to embody and be and share. And that's scary as fuck. It's not the to be honest, I think most people are more afraid that they are powerful beyond control, than all their just fears. So
Hmm. Hmm.
this I love shadow work. and it,
Me
and it doesn't
too.
it doesn't have to be all, horrible and depressing and so on, but sometimes it is, and that's okay. Like, all of it is okay. It takes courage.
Hmm.
And as long as
Hmm.
your heart beats courage. Every heartbeat is courage. Courage, courage, courage.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
so
very
beautiful.
idealistic
Thank
here.
you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this. I love that every heartbeat is courage. That's so amazing. I would love to come back to the topic of awakening integration and
Yes.
maybe ask you about the like methods or ways of how you integrate. What do you do maybe with yourself or with your clients
Mm.
when you have this experience of awakening and you understand some things about
Mhm.
yourself, about the world and the universe? How do you then integrate it into your human experience? What
Okay.
tools do you use?
So there is many layers there. Um, Sometimes it's very confusing, so it's even hard to find words. So talk therapy is great, narrative therapy is great, sharing just with, in a safe environment is great, especially if you're coming from a background where sharing like these kind of out of the ordinary experiences can be dangerous. Like, for example, if you're coming from like a very Christian background, um, you don't want to, be labeled the devil, for example. Um, there is also, um, I very much go into somatics and into body, just really soothing the body, fixing your diet, really supporting the body, supporting with massage, with dance, with exercise, with grounding, with meditation, um, and mindset work. So there's just so much happening. So a lot of the time, what I do with my clients is I just hold space. I guide them into I let them, talk about what's going on, and then I guide them into like a deep theta stage. So, and in that stage, we expand the awareness. So, the more expanded your awareness is, the easier all these new energies, all these new um, paradigms, all these new mentalities have space to be. But if you have still, like a very, very closed mind, you drive yourself crazy. The overthinking mind will, excuse my French, fuck you up. So a lot of time it's just about experiencing expansion in a safe way, experiencing activation, energy activation in a safe way, experiencing your own power in a safe way. And to be honest, I never know what's going to happen in a session. So I do coaching sessions with people minimum 6 times because I find 5 to 6 times it's just all the shit coming up, like all your traumas, all your issues, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like all the detoxing happens in your energy body, in your physical body. You get headaches. You want to be healthier, but all these, caffeine withdrawals. If you've had a lot of chemicals in your life, it all kind of starts moving. So it's the first six sessions are the most intense, and we just support on a very, very basic, simple way. We do look at astrology just because it is impactful. Um, I use the eye conscious test also just to get a bit of awareness around where they are in their different modalities. And it's always different. Every session, every person is different, and I don't know what happens until I'm there, and then I just channel through. So I record all my sessions because most of the time I don't remember afterwards either. I just connect to divinity, connect to my experience, and it's total surrender. It's just whatever happens, happens, and it's a space of, unconditional acceptance, unconditional love, and I don't, I since I don't have a better word for it, it's just kind of magic happens in this acceptance, which is a lot when you look at like Australian counseling and psychology. It's the Rogerian approach, which is all about, just unconditional acceptance and listening and not taking the high road, like not the Freudian way of I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you and how to fix it and do this and do that, and this is my program and this is my strategy and now follow this structure. It's totally, I know that the wisdom is inside of you. Let's relax enough so that it can arise, so that you can have your own insights, and then we'll support it a little bit with, Ayurveda, nutrition, meditation, yoga, suggestions, I mean, we're all so different and unique. If you have knee problems, it's probably not good for you to go running to get out the energy, right? You need to do restorative yoga. And if you're very, very high energy and high level pitta, you know, a yin yoga class is like a boredom for you. So, go hiking, go climb a mountain. So it's just I never know. I know I answered it in a really long and windy way, but it's always unique. It's always unique. It's always specific. And when I do group work, I've just recently started giving meditation classes for the community here in Balian, where I am. I just work with the group field, and that is wonderful as well. So it's whatever is needed in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tools for
There's a
that.
lot
That's
of tools.
amazing.
I've been, I've been
That
very interested in psychology and space and health, food as medicine, nutrition, herbs as medicine, sleep, um, different ways of guiding, meditating, going inside. And what I've found with, meditation teachers and spiritual teachers, um, if you also, anyone who's listening, if you also are a teacher or a coach, you can only help as far as you've done your own work. You can't you can't parrot book knowledge. You have to walk the walk, and that is the depth and centeredness and space that you can hold. Other than that, if you try to go further than that and try to pretend that you're Gandhi or whatever guru and can heal everything, you just fry yourself out. It's burnout. Why do that? Go have ice cream instead, you know?
Yeah, I feel yeah. I mean, you have to walk the walk for sure,
Yeah.
and that's why I feel like for me, having digestive problems and having to heal and go through so much emotional shit, it was actually very helpful
Yeah.
because, and also having COVID this year in January, like I felt so depressed for like a week, but I
Yeah.
felt like, oh, now I actually know how it feels to be depressed, so I
Yeah.
understand how these people with depression that I'm helping feel,
Mhm.
and I can really relate to them
Yeah.
way more than before. So it was
Absolutely.
actually, as you said, the blessing in disguise. It's like something is there, like a treasure that we need to just discover
Hmm.
to see beneath the shadow that is there, right?
Absolutely.
But you mentioned nutrition, and I'm super curious to know what do you think about diet when it comes to vegetarian slash vegan slash meat eating,
Mhm.
when it comes to like spirituality.
So I still go from the point of view that everyone is different. Um, I do not think that everyone needs to be vegan. I do not think that everyone needs to eat meat. I think you really I prefer intuitive eating. I prefer knowing about your body type, your emotional type. So I really resonate with Ayurveda, but I like to use the principles to understand what is good, what is not good for your specific condition, for your specific body. And then from there, not get dogmatic, but know that, for example, for me, I love watermelon, but I'm very high vata. And whenever I have watermelon, it makes me really spacey and really airy. And I know that then I need to invest more time into grounding. So just having a little bit of understanding about cause and effect. Um, One of the things that I do in the very first few sessions when I kind of map out stuff for my clients, and some of my clients do have eating disorders and they do struggle with that. So we also work with those kind of things. Um, is I ask them to write down for a whole week everything they eat and then put also down what they, generally eat and like to eat. And then I intuitively go through the list and just scan through what's a plus, what's a minus, what goes, what doesn't go. And it's always individual. And then we check that again in 3 months' time. And it's very, it doesn't follow anything. It just follows the energy of what is good for the person in that moment. And I'm quite because I'm very experimental with myself. I've done quite a lot of, parasite cleanses and detoxes and all these things. So all these modalities are also available. And you mentioned, digestive issues. Like I also, in a very, very stressful moment of my life, I experienced, like an IBS attack. And after that, I got really mindful. I just got really in tune with what works and what doesn't work. And I wouldn't, break these rules for myself when I was already stressed out. So so I very much go with intuitive eating based on Ayurveda. Um, the less processed, the better. So when you're asking about, like vegetarianism, I was vegetarian for 2 years when I did my yoga diploma, and to me it was horrendous. I was eating a lot of beans and I was eating a lot of tempeh, etc., nuts, and it just wasn't enough. I was too anemic and I had to get iron infusions, and I didn't want to eat the baby cows. And then my yoga guru was like, just, once a month you have heavy periods, just eat a bit of liver. Why are you torturing yourself? You're not saving anyone. You're just making yourself miserable. And I remember I was going home from a retreat and I saw all these baby cows on the side of the road and I was like, I don't want to eat you. So it's making peace with also what works for you, what you need, what you don't need, having understanding about if you do eat meat, then the quality of meat. Um, for example, I prefer, wild, like game, which in Estonia is very popular to go and hunt, in the forest. Australia, it's like kangaroos. So it's yeah, I don't really personally support massive farming and all these, caged chickens and all this stuff. But I also don't think that it's healthy for a lot of people to go full on vegan. So this is my very, very personal opinion, but I think like a level of veganism with ghee is probably what would save the world. Because with ghee, you kind of you bring the spices into a deeper layer of your system, and you also nourish that level that gets very, very anxious. Like a lot of vegans are slightly anxious because there is, um, not enough B12 and all kind of stuff. Like I'm not gonna go scientific, but I think it's a personal choice. And if you feel that you're putting yourself into some sort of a box that invokes guilt or anger in you, then it's probably not a good thing. Like it's it comes to me down more to, are you moving from love or are you moving from fear? Are you, when you choose to not eat animals, is it like what's the actual motivation? Look at your own motivations. There's You don't need to punish anyone. Like life goes on. So I very much believe in body wisdom. So if you, and that's not going from cravings, because when you have a lot of parasites or candida, you crave sugar. Like you want sugar. Those little niggly things want sugar. So it's very hard to fight this addictive pattern. But when you actually, have something in front of you that you know is of good quality, let's say uh, I don't know, a baked sweet potato, and you feel deeply, like you relax, you take a breath, and you feel whether your body wants that or not. It's a physical pull or a push away from this thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
all about just slowing down and knowing what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amazing. I love that. And you can always connect to your heart as well
yes,
before you eat something because your heart will know whether you want it or not.
yes,
And if you can just breathe into your heart and actually just feel into this food that you have in front of you, then it's going to be so clear for you, like a yes or no, like a pull or push, as you said, right? And I completely agree with you that everyone should do whatever serves them the most. And for me personally, vegan diet is the best thing ever. Like I just, for me, it just works the best. I feel the best. I have the most energy. I just feel amazing. But I know that it might not be for everyone. And I know that some people, if they want to go vegan, they actually really want, they need to put more energy into it because their body might need some more nutrients or whatever else. So, but yeah, as you said, probably veganism plus ghee would save the world because it's also about our planet, not only about our digestive system, our body. But that's another topic for another whole other conversation. But I have a one last,
it also
actually
goes
two,
in
two
cycles,
last two.
You can be
Mm-hmm.
very on a like almost like a mono diet for a while, and then you want something else, and it's just about listening what your body needs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I have two quick questions to you just at the end because we need to go soon. But one is, you said that you're connecting to the divine and you're like channeling on the session. And I'm curious, what's your way to connect to the divine?
That's a good question. I think it's just allowing. I just sit back, breathe, intend, and let it come through. It's just
Mm-hmm.
surrendering
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Amazing. I love it. Because sometimes I feel like people are so just, oh, in order to connect to the divine, you need to do this or that. But it's like you can just intend for this to happen and then allow
Yeah,
and relax into it and have just no tension in your body, no resistance to it, no fear around it,
yes,
no have to,
yes.
no just blocks, right? And then it just happens. So I love what you shared, that you just allow it.
And
Amazing.
I,
Okay,
I
one
mean,
last quick.
it's I don't know what would happen if I wouldn't, do the things that I do on a daily basis. Maybe I wouldn't be able to do that. I would get too stressed out. So I do, do certain meditations and mantras and practices for myself, and I go and ground and walk in the forest and walk on the beach and connect with nature and connect with my loved ones. And like, there's a lot of things that I do that make me happy and connected and satisfied. So that's also there as well. And when I am in a space where I'm very, very stressed out, I cannot, like, I need to relax first. The relaxation is always the key. Just dropping it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, because the relaxation opens our energy channels in our body. So it's so important
The
if we want to have
receiving.
the
Yeah.
divine flow. Yeah, the divine energy flowing into us, it needs to have channels open to flow into, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally resonate with that. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is amazing. And I honestly, yeah, I believe that you need to have a routine to open up to your soul and to just generally be grounded and receptive, right, to these energies in everyday life, not only in the moment of channeling, but just also, as you said, it's like a practice, everyday practice. Thank you so much. It's amazing. So one last quick question: if someone really vibes with you and would like to connect to you or see your content, what's the best way to find you?
I have my website, which is astrologyofwellbeing.com, and I only do Instagram. I find Instagram a really beautiful creative outlet, and I share a lot of, personal journeys and things that I do. So for me, it's very much about being the example, walking my talk and sharing, and I think that's honest. There's authenticity and integrity there. So Instagram is a good one. Uh, I am in a process of just moving only doing coaching just because I find that it's more beneficial to actually walk with people and get the experience of being able to do this. I used to do, and until the end of April, I will still do like one-off astrology sessions and meditation sessions and all these things, which is a nice introduction and gives you like this whoa kind of experience. But I've found not everybody is ready to actually walk the walk. It's the same as, you go and do a ritual, a session somewhere, and then you go back to your own life and it's like that's it. I went to Turkey or I went to Ibiza or wherever, and now I'm back in my old bubble. But I really want to actually have, like, make a difference, and with the people who are ready to walk their own walk, who want to really love themselves and learn to love themselves, and are willing to be slightly uncomfortable when things unfold and find out things about themselves they didn't know, like this curiosity, this play, and want to create and give and share themselves and their talents and their gifts
Mm,
with the world. That's the kind of people I want to support. So
amazing.
so the
I love
website
that.
or Instagram, both are very good. Just DM. I'm very casual. I'm very approachable. I love communicating with people, and we can just. I haven't changed that yet because I'm not good with technology, as I mentioned before. But I will put up like a Calendly link where you can book a session for a discovery call, and we can have a chat and see if we vibe with each other. And then if we do, then we'll see what's your specific journey and steps to do next. And if not, then we've had a good chat. It's all good. Life's good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much, beautiful, for sharing your energy. I really got inspired by your story and your everything that you shared. So I'm super, super grateful. And I'm just sending you so, so much love for today's conversation. I'm so grateful
Thank
you
you so
shared
much.
yourself with our audience.
Thank you for providing this beautiful space. I really appreciate it, and it's such a beautiful vibe and such a happy, bubbly energy. So I can totally understand. I actually still don't know much about you besides just feeling like, oh, this feels good. I'm gonna say yes. Um, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your
Oh,
light and love and bubbly, happy energy. This is precious. It's so, so important. Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you so much, beautiful souls, for tuning in. It's been a great conversation, very inspiring story of Mariliis. If you'd like to find me, I am the Connection Catalyst on Instagram, and I'm sending you so much gratitude for listening. And stay tuned to the next episode.